Whether you're watching, listening or reading this, welcome back to the Runpreneur vlog, where we're on a mission to raise £1 million for children's charities by run vlogging on consecutive days the distance of one lap around the world. It is a staggering 40,075 kilometres. It's going to take somewhere in the region of 11 years to accomplish. I'm going to commit to running a minimum of 5 kilometres every day, and I'm going to do it whilst vlogging, and I'll even do it barefoot style. So for those regulars who will know when I vlog about my passions, which are entrepreneurship and running, and most importantly how these topics link together to help people overcome the emotions of stress, overwhelm and anxiety by using exercise as a release mechanism. And it is a fresh morning this morning. It's about 12 degrees and not too breezy, and it's not raining, so decent running conditions. And it's Saturday summary today, where we give you the weekly updates on my journey as a serial entrepreneur. So as always, please support the challenge by subscribing, liking and sharing the content, and let's get started. So, my weekly update on my journey as a serial entrepreneur. So it's been a strange week this week because I've been on holiday, so I've had a week off, which has been really nice and enjoyable. But interestingly, there's been quite a few things that have still happened in the background, which is also really cool. It means I've got a cool team around me. It means that we still make progress. It means I'm not being relied upon for the business to continue to move forwards. So it'll probably be quite a quick episode this week, but I'll give you the highs and low points of what's been happening so far. So in no particular order, I'll go through each business and we'll go through where we're up to. So Property Empire Investments, which is the deal trading business. I think we've got 16 or maybe 17 pre-sold property deals sold, where investors have put down commitment fees and we have to actively source deals for them. So that's really, really positive, because previously when we were doing the trading of deals, we were sourcing deals first before selling. We're now switched that around, so we've pre-sold 16 or so deals so far, and we've got a pipeline of about 45 or so strong. So hopefully we'll get those deals sourced pretty quickly. Now what that means is we've only taken a £500 commitment fee, so when we finish those, when we source those deals and pass them over, there'll be an extra £2,000 per deal. So there's another 32 grand's worth of revenue in the pipeline, which is super cool. So we've also got our commission only partners starting to produce the goods now, which is good. They're finding investors and they're finding deals now and getting offers accepted, which is really, really cool, because this is what we're investing our time and effort in, is growing our partnership program so that we can ultimately have a nationwide presence for people to negotiate and source investors, negotiate deals and source investors, which is really quite exciting. So even though we haven't had any tangible trading or sales come in, as in finalised sales, because I look at all commitment fees and think of them as refund exposure until we've ultimately sold the deal or closed the deal. So there's a bit of work still to be done, but the early signs are very, very promising. So that's Property Empire Investments. We also had to have another meeting with a partner who's vacated. It's getting a little bit negative and difficult to kind of manage, because two of the partners, well, one of them's separated off and the other one is stepping down. So these two never saw eye to eye, and it kind of created this whole negative environment that had to be dealt with. And it was it's something to be wary of in business when you have partners in place. I mean, if you are in a position where you have I need to go this way. If you're in a position where you have other partners involved in a business and they don't get along, or there's any signs that suggest they don't get along, then it's something. Hang on, an old Herbie car just went past me with a big exhaust. Whew, can smell the oil burning. But anyway, it's if you have two people or more in a business who don't get along, you need to do something about it as soon as possible, because it only gets bigger and bigger. And if looking back on what's happened in that business, if I'm being brutally honest, I think it was the breakdown in the relationship between the two partners which caused the separation, which has evolved in this mess that I've had to get involved in that I really didn't want to, but I've had to. And the perfect summary is, an easy example of how this happens is, somebody sends something on the text communication thread, and because it's quite direct and quite abrupt, maybe it should have been toned down, but most people would just pick up the phone and quite easily have a conversation about it. Go back this way. And if you have a conversation about it, it can often be solved because the tone of that conversation and the way that message was meant gets dealt with. Okay, but if you've got two people who don't particularly get on, the instant reaction from the other person is to send a message back which is going to antagonise that person who sent the original message in the first place, and then it kind of snowballs out of effect. And what wouldn't really have been an issue if somebody just had a sensible professional conversation can evolve into something that 2-3 times bigger than what the original issue was, and then it starts creating cracks in the relationship, and before you know it, the relationship breaks down. So my advice, if you do see these things happen, get onto them super quick. And to be honest, I look back on it, I did pull people into meetings and stuff and try to work things through, but ultimately there was just too big a clash of personality, which ultimately resulted in a breakdown in the relationship. So be wary of that, because often text communication, you can't get across body language, you can't get across tone of voice. All these things can obviously have an impact on how the message is delivered, and it could be that you write something, it comes across really direct, but actually you mean it in quite a soft and gentle way, but it comes across in a very harsh and abrasive way. So in those instances, use video communication. You can use asynchronous communication still by using video, but at least your message, your tone of voice and your body language would be received better by doing that. So anyway, I digress. So I had to have a meeting with the partner who separated to kind of solve a few of the ongoing teething issues between the two guys that weren't getting along. And I think we managed to sort that now. There's quite a lot of work to come in the aftermath of that meeting, but it's in the best interest of everybody to keep things amicable and to also ensure that the investors that we work with are all protected and ensure that their service isn't interrupted, which is the most important part. So I think we've got a plan, and it'll be interesting to see how it plans out over the coming weeks. So the next business, Property Empire Builder. Now this will be exciting because we're doing a webinar in 2 weeks' time. So the webinar prep is all being done by the team. We've run this webinar a few times now, but this time we're integrating the chatbot, but not just the chatbot. We're going to use text messaging as well to try and ensure that the pre-attendance communication gets people onto the webinar. I think historically, text or ManyChat or Facebook messaging, whatever, if it's instant communications to remind people about a webinar, the attendance levels go up. And we found that out the hard way, where we had only 15% of people registered to attend during our last webinar, whereas prior to that, it was kind of 30 to 40%, which is probably more industry average. So that's all been set up at the moment, and the team are running that, which is really cool. So excited to see how that pans out over the next couple of weeks. And also we've got the Property Empire Partnership Program, who will also be co-promoting it as well. So it'll be exciting to see these guys come on board and push it out to their networks as well. So we'll see how kind of that transpires and how that kind of happens. So yeah, exciting times. We've then got the property business, just ticks over, nothing to really report on there. I don't think we've had any loss of tenants, and I don't think we've had any new tenants, so fairly stable and consistent there. The next one is the Runpreneur vlog. As I said in my challenge update this week, we've now got the ability to live stream across all platforms set up. We've got Rob Moore, the disruptive entrepreneur, helping with the launch, which I'm supposed to be speaking to him this weekend or certainly next week. And then after that, we're gearing up to a 1st of July launch. So as soon as I'm back next week, we'll be focusing on the pre-launch action plan. So to make sure I'm sending enough stuff out early enough to get people's anticipation and attention early, so that we can really make a buzz around the launch, rather than just launch on the quiet and not have the impact that we're trying to achieve. So that's all to come in the coming week, so that's pretty cool. We've then got Property Empire Holdings. We're still pushing this first deal over the line with the rent-to-rent. We've got 2 others approved that we're just trying to also get over the line, and we've got this big pipeline that the lease provider is just taking a little bit longer than we'd like to give approvals, so we're having to kind of push things. It's a real difficult balancing act in terms of managing where we've sourced the property from with getting the lease provider to give us an answer on whether they're going to approve or reject the property. We're supposed to take a 7-day period, but it can often take a little bit longer, so it's quite difficult managing all the stakeholders' expectations, but we're aware of it and we're working on it, and hopefully we'll have that resolved in the not too distant future. So that's where we are from that standpoint. We've also got the other 2 deals that we've got, the flip and the assisted sale, which are still petering on in the background, and we have another rent-to-rent deal as well that we've had that is just that we're at the moment of working with the council to get the council to put a guarantee on the property for us. So quite a lot of things going in holdings, which is cool, but we're fully aware that will start benefiting us financially, but it's just a few months away yet. The social media agency is going to be an autumn launch. The Property Empire Construction and Maintenance is dealing with all of the refurbishments of the historic or legacy trading sales that we made in Property Empire Investments, and there's a few sticking points we've got to deal with there. So like I say, we wanted to make profit out of this month. It's looking like that might now be delayed until we finish off delivering all of these refurbishment programs before we can then start moving forwards to making profit on the new deals again. So that's kind of where we are on that side of things, and then that's pretty much it where we are. So overall, I'd say it's been an average week, but you know what, I haven't been involved, and there's been commitment fees coming in, there's been updates on the webinar preparation, there's been updates from Runpreneur, so the property business has been moving forward, so everything has kind of happened as it should have done without me, which is really, really, really nice to see. The only thing I've had to get involved in that I didn't want to whilst I was away was this meeting with the ex-partner, just to try and smooth things over, to stop and just like sever the issue and kind of nip it in the bud, so that we can progress proactively rather than reacting to negative slurs and things all the time. So overall, it says it's an okay week, nothing to write home about, but the biggest positive is the benefit of systems, processes, people and data. You put these 3 things in place into any business, it gives you that ability to actually step away from the business and it not rely on you in your absence. And that's probably the biggest positive from this week, and something that gives me a lot of confidence with everything we do moving forward. So any questions for me, drop me a comment. I'll respond to everyone. If it's a bigger topic, I'll do a separate blog episode and tag you in. Please do check out the links in the bio to follow the challenge, keep updated with the challenge, find out how we're doing on our mission to raise £1 million for children's charities by run vlogging on consecutive days, the distance of 1 lap around the world. And all that's left to say is that my content is always geared around helping people overcome the emotions of stress, overwhelm and anxiety by using exercise as a release mechanism. Now, we all experience daily, weekly pressures in the form of stress, no matter what we do. And it's often how we deal with these stresses on a daily or weekly basis which will dictate how successful we will be in whatever success means to each and every one of us. And the ones that do it well have a release mechanism where they have a process for kind of, you know, clarifying what's happening, processing what's happened, refocusing, clearing your head and moving on. That's the release mechanism. The people that do that manage to then move on with a clear head on the next day. The people that don't, those stresses and pressures in the form of stress can evolve and build up into overwhelm. And we're looking at a bit like a pipe where pressure builds in a pipe. And when you get to overwhelm, if you don't clear your head at that stage, you almost have a seizure and you procrastinate. There's too many things going on, you don't know where to start, what to do, which is really quite concerning. When you get to that level, it's then deal with it quickly, because you're flirting with the edges of mental health related issues. And when you get to that stage, if If you don't deal with it, it switches over to panic and anxiety, which is where you are flirting with mental health related challenges. And if you don't deal with it at that stage, you'll have a mental breakdown. And in this analogy of the pipe, the pressure builds up so high it bursts, and that's where you have a breakdown. And I've been there. I've lost businesses because of it. I've lost business partners. I've almost been bankrupt because of it. And believe you me, I wouldn't wish it upon my worst enemy. And there's no coincidence in the past year of doing this running vlog, which is my release mechanism, that I've made more progress in all facets of my life than I have done in the previous 5 years. So hopefully there's enough social proof that stuff works. So my pledge to you, if you're someone who's struggling with these issues, drop me a message, okay? There's no catch here. The Runpreneur vlog is not for profit, so there's no sale. There's the value and content we give is always for free. Yes, we raise donations, but they're optional and never essential. So help is always for free. So if you are struggling with this, drop me a message. We'll jump on a call. We'll give you a step-by-step guide on how we can get your release mechanism in place and get you back on the right path to whatever success looks like to you. And help is always available. It's not always, doesn't always cost you money. It's often easier asking a stranger than nearest and dearest. So if that is you, reach out, help is available. So that's pretty much it today. I'll leave you with, as always, with stay positive, stay happy, and I'll see you tomorrow.